How's it going, everyone? Dan Toback here from SLC Scanner. I'm joined by Wayne Filowitz, WRPB.
Good morning, good afternoon. After this weekend or this week, I really don't know what time it is. I don't know what day it is. I don't know anything. I just know how blessed most of us are.
Amen. Amen. That's so true, Wayne. You know, I woke up this morning similar to you, just completely exhausted physically and mentally, but there's so many other people in our community right now struggling more than we are.
Without a doubt.
Without a roof over their head, right? Without much food at all. A lot of them still without electric.
I have no electric, but again, I'm glamping at the studio, as I showed you.
Yeah.
Me, Vicky, and the two cats. But it's not. It even goes so much deeper than that. For those you don't know, and not from maybe from this area, we had, I don't know how many tornadoes. Do you know?
My goodness, I want to say at least in St. Lucie, maybe 10, but there are way more than that across the state. So Martin County got tornadoes, many. Port St. Lucie, Fort Pierce was just absolutely devastated. Spanish Lakes off Turnpike Feeder Road was just really devastated, if you've seen the pictures on our page about that.
There's certain pictures. Here's the thing. And some of the people that watch SLC Scanner are so cool not to want to interfere and take pictures where they don't want to hurt anybody.
Yeah.
And that's like so important. It's not about, hey, look at the picture I got.
Yes.
They care about what's going on.
Absolutely.
Okay, and that's like really kind of cool. But yeah, Spanish Lakes had the tornadoes that came through, and people didn't, some people didn't even board up.
No. I had many neighbors that didn't board up at all, and they were making fun of me for putting shutters up over in the Torino area. Ironically, Torino is one of the areas that got tornadoes. Sandpiper Bay got tornadoes. It did. Sandpiper got a tornado near the St. James area, I believe, in tradition. So there were many tornadoes in our area, so I'm glad I shuttered up with the metal shutters. And I can't take credit for that, Wayne. That was actually Steve Weagle, the great Steve Weagle, who we saw on our page as a special guest.
You know, it's funny because Vicky's saying we should board up the house and stay at the studio because this is cinder block, metal roof, and I'm going, no, it's no big deal, no, it's no. And sometimes you got to listen to your wife. Most times you should really listen to your wife. Just say it.
Yeah.
But so we bought it up, and I don't know if you know Tony, who does roofing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He is probably one of the sweetest guys in the world.
Yeah.
And he came by because I'm 67. I can't do the boarding up.
Yeah.
And boarded up my house, got it done. He's just, like I said, and he's just one of many people that want to help.
Absolutely. There are so many, Wayne, in the community that stepped up. Thank you, guys. If you're watching this and you're a small business owner, a nonprofit that went above and beyond your scope of work and expertise to really help people board up. They helped people with supplies. They helped some elderly people get to where they needed to be, short notice. So really, it's the times like this in our community where you know how many special people we really have living here. And to your point, like people like Tony, we had so many on the page that came and they asked us, what can we do, Dan? How can we get plugged in? So we just have so many posts of people just begging, hey, how can we get locked in here to really help Spanish Lakes? Port Salerno in Martin County needs so much help. And they came out of the woodwork to really deliver big for the community.
You know, I heard that there was one tornado that touched down on Alligator Alley.
Yes. Yep.
And it didn't, normally they touch down and go up or go away. This one came straight through and continued on, from what I hear, straight to Vero.
Wow.
And it took everything in its path of disaster. And of course, you know, we think of entertainment like the movie Twister.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay? And we watch it, and though we don't laugh, we just take it for granted that, that was a movie.
Yeah.
But it hits home sometimes.
It does. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of sensationalism out there. There's a lot of dramatized type of things of different events. But I can tell you here, with these tornadoes, Wayne, with the moisture, there was no sensationalism. The pictures and the videos that we received from friends of our page were just absolutely tragic, and include the aerial shot of Port Salerno with so many homes that were just taken up and destroyed. The sheriff's office, the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office, where Ron DeSantis came in the wake of that destruction to see the roof crumble, the entire building. All those new vehicles that taxpayers got just were stuck in there. So there was so much real destruction to really witness that it was overwhelming. But again, right, we want to be positive this morning. When we wake up, there's just so many people that came and they united. When I went to the sheriff's office yesterday, you had so many of our community leaders there united to really help our community. Sheriff Keith Pearson, you had Ron DeSantis, you had Brian Mast, I saw Richard Del Toro there, Dana Trabolsi. So there were so many people that really came lockstep to help our community, and there was a lot to be done. And I know with the community's help, we'll get it done.
You know, we were talking yesterday about making some iced tea and lemonade and bringing it out to that area in Spanish Lakes.
Yeah.
And I chose not to, not that I don't want to help, but I also don't want to hinder. And I know there's so many things that need to be done there, and I didn't want to block the roads. And I think that one of the most important things that we can do is to try to stay off the roads during this period, so that emergency vehicles can get through, and so that FP&L or whatever electric company you need is out there doing what they got to do. We, by being out there and taking pictures, we hinder that.
We do. You're right. And that's the one thing, to your point, I'm glad you brought it up. Chief Leo Nemzik brought this up yesterday morning. He said, Dan, remind the friends of the page that it's very dangerous still to be outside. And that was yesterday morning. But I'm sure it still goes for today because of the weather, the inclement weather, a lot of the debris. If you don't need to go out, don't go out, right? Especially if it is just to take pictures. And I'm a social media guy. I'm the biggest fan. Wayne knows that, of taking pictures and doing selfies. But there's a time and a place. Today we want to keep it minimal in terms of travel, in terms of being out and about. And again, yesterday, I think what the chief said is so accurate. It's not the time to be out there. Let law enforcement do its work. Let those crews do their work. And we'll start to see that improvement.
Okay, so I just want to correct you when you said we know you and pictures, but it's very rare that I see stuff that you post that's negative.
Thank you.
Okay?
Yeah.
We live in the real world and things happen.
Yeah.
Okay? You had a young lady today who posted about a 3-car accident across town in Rosa.
Yeah. Yep.
But she didn't post pictures. And you know what? She mentioned what was there.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we needed to see pictures.
Yeah.
Okay? Why do we need to see smashed cars or ambulances? We know if you had a 3-car accident and she said it scared her, we know. We've all been through it. We've all passed them. We don't need to take advantage of someone else's hurt. And the reason I kind of say that is because I remember a time, and I won't go really into it, but there was a car accident. And there was people taking pictures. Well, I know the wife of the person in the car accident. And he did not know that that car accident existed. He saw it on Facebook. Mm. Okay? So he lost his wife. I take it back. He passed away, the wife. It was the wife that saw the pictures. She found out from Facebook. Mm. And that's not a really good way to find out.
No.
Okay? And part of the problem is you see a car, so for argument's sake, you see a Mustang, and you know that your husband or spouse or kid owns a Mustang in red, and you see it smashed up, and you don't know, there's hundreds of Mustangs that are red.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's your... So I surely think sending SLC scanner info is great. But I don't think you always have to send the pictures. I think you really got to be a little particular about what you send. I mean, do you agree?
I agree, Wayne. I think there's for us, there's been a learning curve for sure since we've taken over the page, try to improve the page. We really want to be sensitive towards families, and we want to be a family-first atmosphere on the page in terms of helping, right? It's a blessing. I always love this quote: "Be a blessing, not a burden." And a lot of times people ask, "Why don't you show license plates?" Not that it's illegal or unlawful to show a license plate, they're public, but it's about putting it on a stage. And we want to use our platform for good, unless there's a charge, unless the PD or the sheriff's office says, hey, Dan, put this out because we're looking for a suspect or somebody's missing. We don't put that specifics out there because you just never know who's on there. And we have almost 80,000 people now. So we want to use that discernment to try to be a blessing, not a burden.
So you went out to the event at the sheriff's office?
Yes. Yep.
And everybody was out there?
Everybody was out there.
Not me, because I didn't know about it.
It was a great event, and I must say, my number one takeaway was how united everyone was, and at least from what I can see, right? And I don't want to speak for them; they're not here. But when I was there, it was so reassuring as a resident in the county to see all of our city and our county and our state leaders together, lockstep. They were all there trying to put a ground game in place to really help our community. Obviously, I thought it was a strong image to see all of them in front of the building that collapsed, because that building is, it's a beautiful building. It's a newer building, I think, with all those new vehicles underneath it. And I think the fact that they were there, it was a kind of a full circle type of image. But it was a great time, a great press conference. They answered a lot of good questions, so it was a blessing to be able to cover it.
I think the last I saw, there was still 22,000 people without power.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I don't know if it's Port St. Lucie or St. Lucie County, but we got a lot of people. And for FP&L a day later to have only 22,000,
yeah,
you got to give them credit. And they've
Yeah.
been, we might curse when we're driving normal time and the lane closes because they're putting up better posts and stuff.
Yeah.
So that the cables don't come down. But man, you go through a time like now, my studio, we kept power on through the whole time, never lost it. Thank God I had it, because it's cinder block, metal roof. I was able to stay here, and I'm able to stay here. But there are so many people, in my opinion, that probably should have evacuated and didn't. And that happens in every hurricane.
Yeah.
Because I would have been one of them, tell you the truth. And I'm going to tell you this. We had so many tornadoes, even before the hurricane even touched ground. Yeah. By the time the hurricane came, most of us were going, oh, it's a hurricane. It's almost like we didn't care. No. We were more afraid of the tornadoes and all the damage that we saw.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a picture of a dumpster on a roof. Did you see that picture?
I did, and actually one of the crews that were looking to correct that, they reached out to our page asking if we knew the exact location. So we put out a post, and that got settled pretty quick, and we posted the picture of them plucking it off, which was even better. Wayne, you make a great point, though. What you said about, originally we were expecting and prepping for this hurricane.
Right.
There were a lot of people, hey, pick me included, that procrastinated their shutters. We had people putting shutters up when the tornadoes were there. Because remember, we were told it was going to, be at the peak around midnight.
Right.
Early morning, 2 a.m. No one was expecting to have to already be prepared earlier that day. And these tornadoes came, people were putting up shutters, and I believe, if I had to guess the reason why it was even worse, it was because we didn't expect that.
The facts are, shutter, no shutter, if a tornado is going to hit you,
yeah,
the shutters mean nothing. Okay?
Yeah.
It's really the flying debris and stuff. But I think we were just so frustrated by the time the hurricane got here that it was like, yeah, whatever. Okay?
Yeah, that's true.
It was like, all right, you know what? Hurricane's here. Let's put a grill up outside and let's cook.
Yeah.
We're out of danger because the tornadoes are gone.
Absolutely.
Okay. And they say that many tornadoes in one time will probably never happen for another 100 years.
No, it was very uncommon, and even the Governor DeSantis, said that in his press conference. He said this is very unusual. Obviously, tornadoes aren't unusual in Florida. We've had them accompany most of the hurricanes, but the amount prior to the storm was very unusual. And when I was on with Steve Weigel, we didn't even cover possible tornadoes, really. Actually, I want to take that back. Steve Weigel brought something up on it very briefly. If you rewatch our interview with him, he says, you have to be prepared because there's high gusts, and he goes, there could be tornadoes. And he brought it up at one of the very last minutes of our interview, and I thought, I got to give Steve a shout-out at some point later in the day, because he's the one that really brought that up and reminded everyone, hey, not just the high gusts. It's not just the rain. but it's also the possibility of tornadoes. And I think that for those of you who made it through this storm scot-free, you didn't come out with any injuries, damage to your property, thank God, but also use this as an opportunity to prep better for next time and know now that you're a Floridian, you've joined us, you've joined the club, right? You got to prep and you got to be prepared because it can get ugly really quick without much notice.
You're right. The hurricanes, we have an idea, but it shifts and wobbles, and we just almost never know. But the tornadoes are blink, and one's going to come down. And, I don't really know the difference between tornado and waterspout.
I don't really know either.
So we really need to find out, because every time I see a waterspout, it looks like a tornado.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm like, all right, that's a tornado. But most times they say tornadoes, they touch down and then they go a little bit and then they go away.
Yeah.
These tornadoes were like, here, we're coming to get you.
Yeah.
Okay? And I feel really, really bad for so many people. But like you said, those, I don't care if you probably got damaged. Those who are alive and didn't get injured or whatever, you guys should look at it as a blessing. We'll make do, and we always seem to come together.
We do.
When there's an emergency.
We do.
When there was a hurricane years ago, I lived in a cul-de-sac, and there was no power, and everybody was outside with their barbecues and their food and coffee, because one guy had an RV, and he fired it up and whatever, and we all spoke, and then after the power came on, nobody spoke to one another.
That's how it is, unfortunately.
That, I didn't even know my neighbors, but those are the things we deal with living in Florida. Some of the cool things we deal with, because we're going to run out of time, is last weekend that just passed.
Yeah. We
had an amazing event.
We did.
Okay, DDS for Vets.
DDS for Vets, my first one.
The gala.
Yep. It was absolutely amazing. And for those of you, who couldn't be there, I did a live with Rick Schichtel from the event just to give you a little bit of a glimpse how amazing it was. But it was truly an incredible time honoring our vets, hearing the, some of them heart-wrenching stories of what they went through when they were on the field. And, for Wayne and I, we take actually a little bit of pride of not being in the military and being there to be able to support those that wore the uniform, because there's such a minority of people that have actually served. Everyone thinks, there's a lot of people who've served. It's actually a way smaller percentage. We mentioned it at the event, right? I think Deb mentioned it, somebody mentioned it, about the percentage. So it takes all of us to support our men and women in uniform, because they've given everything to make sure that we have the freedom to be here in the studio today, talking about whatever we want to talk about, making sure that we have the freedom to be here at home, and business, recreation. So it takes the bigger portion of us to support them, and that's what the gala really was. It was just amazing. And
we were privileged to give James, who was a vet, Hope, which is the dog that he got. And I'm on the board there, and this is the second one I went to. I'm only on a board probably about 8 months. But I will tell you, I met some amazing people. You did not get to the Friday night VIP party. Mm-hmm. Everything was done like top notch, not for the vets.
Yeah.
Okay. And people might say, yeah, well, not everybody's a vet, and they got these fancy meals. And yeah, but we raised money from those people.
Absolutely.
Okay, to help already prepare for the next dog or dogs that we train. They take over a year.
Yeah.
So you got to house them, feed them, vet them. You got to do all that. People don't understand. And then you got to work with the person that's going to get the dog.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And I talk to Deb probably twice a day. Only one time less than I talk to Amy from the chamber. But these are people that I'm close with, and I'm blessed to have time to help. Mm-hmm. And seeing the gala come off and the VIP party come off the way it did, Deb just does an amazing job. Yeah. And probably a million times I gotta believe that her husband's gonna yell at her. Okay? But she is so deep rooted in helping vets that you can only say, how can I help? What can I do? and
Yeah.
that's how I see it. And I'm glad that you were able to get there because you were pretty much last minute.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was. I was procrastinating.
You were like last. It's like I remember like a day before, 2 days before. I was like, I want to go. I should have gone. I should have got my ticket. But you got in,
Yeah.
and Rick had a whole table, right?
He did. It was really cool being with Rick and his team, and they were fabulous to spend time with. And we had two amazing, incredible servicemen at our table who I think they were in their 80s or 90s. I think one of them was definitely in their 90s. The other one might be Hal Davis,
Oh, okay.
and then another individual as well. But they were amazing, and I got to hear so many awesome stories from their time in service from years and years and years ago. Just an honor to spend the time with them there for dinner. Two amazing veterans, and to be able to see multiple speakers who've served our country. A lot of community leaders as well. So it was a
Richard
really
Del
great
Toro
time.
came up.
Did.
Brian Mast came up.
Yep.
General Frank Labuti came up.
Mm-hmm.
I was lucky enough to go up there with him because
Yep.
I helped get the dog, and he says to me, he wanted to give me the mic, and I'm like, okay, you're a general, and I'm a nobody.
Yeah.
You speak. It's okay. You
Yeah.
speak. I'm okay just being here with you and
Yep.
supporting. But I think that James, who got the dog, I met his parents,
Mhm.
Moose and Pam.
Yep.
Super, super nice people. I mean, I met some great people. After the event, I was at the Drift restaurant and bar.
Yeah.
I was talking to Sean Williams,
Nice.
and he's friends of yours and mine.
Yeah.
And he said, when we have some time, I want to tell you my opinion about, because he knows that if he tells me,
Yeah.
I won't take it as a criticism,
Thick skin.
okay? Well, he'll tell me what he thinks, and he's a smart guy,
Yeah.
and I'll see what's usable to change, because every year you tweak what you do. No different here,
Yeah.
okay?
Absolutely.
This is like the third time you've come on with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we kind of tweak what we're going to talk about and stuff, but DDS for Vets, it's ddsforvets.org. Go there. You really should think about some of the events. I think we have a fashion show at the Breakers coming up.
That's awesome.
We have a concert coming up next year. So we got a lot of stuff, and it's a great team to support. But ending up, let's just go back to pinpointing stuff about the hurricane.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you don't have to drive, don't drive.
Don't drive, and that was by the chief here, Leo Nemzek. He recommends we just stay put for now. That was especially yesterday. Today it's getting a little more. Of course, there's more activity on the roads, but those power lines, be careful. Those down power lines, that was really an issue, especially over in Indian River Estates. You know, you have people in the water with the down power lines. Please use caution. Not a good idea. There's still a lot of debris on the road. You know, you don't want to speed. We had somebody's dog that was hit
I saw that.
in the middle of the storm because somebody was speeding through. Now since then that's a healed relationship. We want to make sure we know that those neighbors reconciled. So that's great. That's wonderful. God bless them. But we just want to be cognizant. Remember, we're all rushing, catching up on work, catching up with the kids, whatever it is from the storm. A couple of days off. It's not worth the accident. It's not worth getting into a crash. So I'm supposed to use that word, by the way. FDOT told me, not accident, crash. Crash. That's my new. That's the way I describe that.
His
now.
new lingo is crash.
It's crash. Yeah, not accident, because truly an accident doesn't encapsulate that event. The crash is really more appropriate, apparently.
Well, since we're correcting English here,
Yeah.
let's correct this. Okay, fatality, okay, is one word. Okay, casualty is another word. Casualty does not necessarily mean death.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
So when you hear 37 casualties, that doesn't mean 37 people have died.
Yes.
If you hear 37 fatalities, that means 37. So kind of get those words correct. We could do a whole show on the English language.
I know.
Okay. And no disrespect, but I probably screwed up too.
Yeah. Well, that would have been a helpful description before yesterday.
Yes.
Because and not to put specific numbers behind a lot of this, because a lot of these individuals are still doing a lot of searching. They're still doing a lot of investigating, but there were quite a few casualties
Right.
but not necessarily that many fatalities. And I was, hey, pick me again. I was somebody who may have mixed that up at a certain point in a live, but we want to make sure that, hey, let's give it a couple of days and then we're going to reassess, and then we'll put out accurate numbers, because we do want to honor those families, including the wonderful lady that I believe Megan McRoberts, who our page really appreciates what she does in our community. Megan McRoberts put out the story as well. We lost a wonderful lady. She was able to get a few amazing descriptions of how she lived her life, and my condolences to that family if you're watching. But we lost quite a few people, but we did have a lot more casualties, not the
Right, not fatalities.
not fatalities.
And it's hard because a lot of those people in Spanish Lakes up there, for argument's sake, or the one here or any other 55 or older communities,
Yeah.
don't have family here.
Right.
Okay, their family's up north. So now just think about it. Your parents live down here. You live up north. There's a tornado. You don't know what happened to your family. The phone system wasn't working right.
Right.
It's heart-wrenching. And when you go and you take pictures of a house, and if you look at a lot of the new construction, they're almost, I hate to say it, a lot of them are cookie cutter. So you say, is that my mother's house? I can't reach them, and people worry more. So you got to be a little considerate of what you post picture-wise.
Yes.
And I think that you do such a good job of making sure. We had an incident a couple of weeks ago with a domestic violence issue that I was there while it was happening, and I didn't take any pictures.
Yeah.
Okay, and I didn't want to even deal with getting in anybody's way because the officers were just getting there.
Right.
So we were pulling over constantly. Be considerate. It doesn't take much to be considerate.
That's true.
Dan, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Wayne. I appreciate it.
Everybody, WRPB Studios and St. Lucie Scanner, we try to do whatever we can to help, to give out information. You've been around doing this. That page has been around how many years?
10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
It's grown, and the reason it's grown, the way it's grown, is because it's run properly. Before we go, it's a shameless promotion for you. So what do you do besides this?
Yeah, thank you, Wayne. So a lot of you ask, my former military, my former law enforcement. I'm neither. I've never been anything official in my life except a husband, a dad, obviously, a Christian. And I also do run a small business here in town where we purchase homes from people needing to sell for the most convenient way possible. We purchase homes from locals for over 10 years, even if the home needs work, even if the seller needs time for free to stay after selling, even if they need a quick close and they need their money very quick. We offer the most convenient way to sell in St. Lucie County. So if you know anyone, if you have any friends, or you personally are looking for a hassle-free offer, you can get in touch with me. You can give me a call, 772-206-1234.
Everybody, check them out. It's a good way to get cash without having to deal with banks and all kinds of other stuff that you might have to normally deal with. Have a great day. Stay safe. Until next week.
Thanks, guys.